Good morning, everyone. This is Charles once again with Exodus Dispatching and Training for Beginners, the Freight Broker one-on-one training for beginners. Today is the 27th of March, Wednesday. This is Module 3 of the Freight Broker one-on-one training for beginners, and high overview of booking loads. What's all involved in there. So in Module 3, we go into how to book the loads from the load list provided to you by your shippers. Again, this is high level. You'll get more details about booking loads from the broker side, and that varies from brokerage to brokerage based off of the load details, the type of shippers you have, your approved carriers, and the system that you're using to keep track of that, the TMS systems and things like that. So we'll cover the load list from the customers and the shippers. We'll talk about posting the loads or contacting approved carriers directly. When you get that load list, you got to find approved carriers to move those loads. We'll talk about once you find them approved carriers, those approved carriers, then you have the load tender that you receive from the shipper. Take that data and make the rate confirmation. And then we'll talk about the invoicing the customers to get paid, so you can pay your carriers as well as your agents and things like that. So first off, we're gonna talk about the load list. A load list is what, once you this is the stage where after you've gotten your shipper packet returned from the shipper and you set them up in your TMS system and as an approved shipper, and then you're added to their email list. They'll start sending you their load list either once a week, twice a week, daily, things like that. However frequently they send out their load list to you, you'll receive that in an email. And it'll be a list of loads that they need to be shipped for whatever lanes that they have available for that specific shipper or customer. And they have a target rate for their lane that they sell to the brokerage or offer directly to the carriers. So in this module, I give a screenshot of an example of a load list, so you can take a look at that for yourself. If you are listening to this video and you're looking at the screenshot, then load number 1, it has a lane of Carrollton, Alabama to Houston, Texas. This is an example of a load list of a flatbed shipper. So the circled areas is the origin, destination, origin being Carrollton, Alabama, destination being Houston, Texas. And then you have the loaded miles from the origin and destination, not deadhead, but the loaded miles, the miles that the carrier is going to travel with that freight or that commodity on their trailer, 583. And then the target rate that the shipper is selling to the broker at 1,300. That's their target rate. So so when you want to create a rate confirmation from that, you'll change your numbers to reflect the rate that you're going to sell to the carrier. So the above screenshot again, or the screenshot that you're looking at, if you are following along in the module and looking at the screenshot at the same time, listening, it's a flatbed shipper. It features the load number, origin, destination, miles, rate, and even any special details or notes that the broker needs to be aware of to communicate to the carrier. Again, the rate column is the target rate that the shipper sells to the broker. So you change your number. So if you got, for example, load number 1, you may, as a broker, sell that load, and you may want to make either $50 profit or $100 profit off of that load. So you're not going to post that load or tell the carrier directly, if you're dealing with through the brokerage, that you're going to sell that load to them for 1,300 when the shipper sold it to you for 1,300, because you're not making any money from that load. So if you repost a load with the details and things like that, the commodity and stuff on the load boards, or you contact the carriers directly and tell them that the load is available for either 1,200 or 1,250, now you're going to make either 50 or $100 off of that load respectively, because you're deducting the cost that you're offering to the carrier from the cost that the shipper sold you the load. And that's how you make your spread. That's how you make your profit. And that's per load. So you can get a high volume shipper that provides a lot of loads daily. He may give you 10 loads and you move 10 loads and you make $50 profit off of each load. So if you're thinking about volume, $50 profit by 10 loads, that's $500 for that day. Imagine doing that 5 days a week, and that's just one shipper. Imagine having 3 shippers doing that same scenario. So you're making $500 a day, 5 days, that's $2,500 for 1 week for one shipper, and you got 3 shippers doing that. So 30 loads you're moving a day. It's possible if you have a team, so that's $7,500 a week. So after you get the load list from the shipper, then next you're gonna either post the loads or you're gonna contact approved carriers directly that you already have that signed up under your brokerage. So of course you're gonna call them and check their availability in that lane and see if they're in the area and if they are available to pick that load up, if you have any available. If not, then of course you'll post the loads, that lane, on the load board, and then get calls from carriers who are interested in that lane. One thing to remember is the better paying that the rate for that load is, the more likely you'll get a call from a carrier who's interested in moving that load. So once you do get a carrier who's interested, either from one of your directly approved carriers that you already have under your brokerage, or someone called you from the load board wanting to load, and then they become approved, then you want to contact the shipper, letting them know, hey, I got a carrier for this lane. Is this load still available? We can go ahead and book this load and move this load. Then they'll send you over a load tender, the shipper will, and then that's with details about the load, where it's picking up from, who it's going to, any special instructions and things like that. The important thing to remember, we make a note of this, it's not recommended to contact a shipper letting them know that you want a particular load without first having the carrier approved to run that load. Not a carrier who's interested in the load, but a carrier who's approved, that you've already vetted out and got signed up and approved under your brokerage. They're already been set up. Their carrier pack has been returned. All their other information has been returned. W-9, certificate of insurance, MC authority. It's been entered in the system. It's been approved through compliance, and they are under your brokerage as an approved carrier. So then you can call the shipper and say, hey, I actually have a carrier, as opposed to, there's been cases where someone may have called, let the shipper know, hey, I got a truck for this load, and the shipper sent the tender over information about the load, but during the process of trying to get the carrier approved, a red flag may have came up, the insurance may have been expired. So at any rate, the carrier did not get approved. So now the broker is potentially scrambling trying to find a carrier for that load, and may even take a loss on it, because the carrier that they initially wanted to approve, for whatever reason, did not get approved. So it's best to contact the shipper after you have approved carrier, and approved means that they've been through that vetting process and got approved through compliance and things like that with their MCDOT, their insurance, their W-9, and their authority. So once you receive the load tender from the shipper, you can build a load either in your TMS system, and you'll receive that load tender either through an attachment to an email, or there may be an electronic transfer through like a data interchange, like EDI, electronic data interchange, where the load tender comes across into the system, where you and your shipper kind of are synced between TMS systems, and the data is sent automatically. So the only thing you would have to change inside of on your end to build that load and produce the rate confirmation for the carrier is the information. You change the shipper information to the carrier, and then of course you change the load tender amount that the shipper sold it to you, the broker, to the amount that you're going to sell it to the carrier. So for, in this example, $1,300, you'll sell it to either $1,250 or $1,200, depending on what profit that you want to make from that load. That's how that works. So when the rate confirmation is built for a particular load, the shipper information from the load tender obviously again is replaced by the carrier information, and the rate on the load tender is changed to the rate that the broker sells the load to the carrier, and then the broker keeps the difference. So now that you have that rate confirmation produced and made, now you'll email that to the carrier for them to look it over and see any special instructions, any discrepancies that they may want to discuss with you prior to them signing it. Once the carrier signs the rate confirmation and returns it, then the load is officially booked. That carrier can go ahead and head to that receiver, get loaded and head out for delivery. Now the rate con, it reflects the details needed for the carrier to effectively run the load. It has the pickup dates and delivery dates and times, any special instructions, the type of commodity that's being hauled or the freight or what's on the trailer, the weight of it to make sure that the carrier is within their weight, legal load, what have you, and the loaded miles and some other things too, any accessorial things that you may need. For example, this was a flatbed load list that we had, and a flatbed loaded tender that we received, and a flatbed load rate confirmation that we gave to the carrier. So with that being said, typically with flatbeds, some accessories made that may be needed is like tarps, chains and binders, pipe stakes, maybe dunnage, depending on the commodity, whether it's lumber or whether it's steel pipes or what have you. So once the load is delivered, now in the booking process, of course, invoicing comes into play. The broker is going to invoice the shipper, and the carrier is going to invoice the broker or their factoring company, depending on if they have a factoring company to get paid under. So at any rate, the carrier is going to send you a copy of the bill of lading, which is the delivery receipt, the proof of delivery, showing that they delivered it to the receiver, they were on time, everything checked out on the load, the pallet count was okay. Even if there was damage, there will be claims listed or notated on the bill of lading. So when it's time to pay, there will be some deductions or additions. If there were any lumper fees that had to be paid for being unloaded, things like that, all of that information will be reflected on the standard bill of lading. So when it's uploaded or sent to the brokerage, they can send that proof of delivery or that receipt to the shipper to be billed for that $1,300, and then they pay the carrier that $1,200, and then they keep that difference or whatever they charge, $1,200, $1,250, whatever the number was, and then the difference is what the broker keeps. So the bill of lading, again, is the delivery receipt, proof of delivery. Once you get to the receiver, the carrier gets to the receiver, they dock the truck or they get offloaded with a forklift, because in this case it's a flatbed load. So then they receive it, the bill of lading, they sign it, verifying that everything checks out, everything was accounted for, there was no damage, or even if there was damage, it would be notated in a special area on the bill of lading, pallet counts, bill of lading numbers, all the accessories. So if you are looking at the image that's included in this module, you'll be able to see a sample template of what a bill of lading looks like. So that's pretty much the high level process of booking a load. You essentially you get a load list from your contractor, your contracted customer, who's the shipper in this case, because this is a brokerage that we're dealing with. So you get your load list. You either contact your carriers, approved carriers directly to see if their availability, check on their availability of that load, or you post a load on the load board, and then you get calls and inquiries from carriers who are interested in the load. Coincidentally, when you do post loads on the load board, you can actually, depending on the type of load board, you can actually see the area, see what trucks are empty in that area of that lane that you posted that load under. So you have that option as well. And then once you get calls from carriers, you get them approved. If they're not approved, once they get approved, you let the shipper know that you have a carrier for that load. Is that load still available? If it is, they'll send over the load tender either in an email form or electronically. You enter that information into your TMS system to build the load and produce the rate confirmation. Send that to the carrier. They'll look that over, sign it if they agree upon it. discuss it with you, any changes if they disagree on it, and then you make the changes and then resend it and then sign it. Go from there. The load is booked. Carrier delivers the load, receives the receipt of that delivery, which is called the BOL, the bill of lading, LADING. It shows the delivery was made successfully. The pallet counts, the BOL number, when the carrier picked up from the shipper, when they delivered to the receiver, any other special instructions, if there was damaged freight, if there were lumper fees, everything is reflected on the delivery receipt. They send a copy to the brokerage. They also send a copy if they have a factoring company. This is the carrier. They'll send it to their factoring company so they can get paid quicker. And then the factoring company comes to the brokerage or the shipper, however the case may be. Broker has a copy of that BOL. They'll produce an invoice to the shipper, attach a copy of that into the a BOL to the invoice to send to the shipper, and then get paid, because brokerages have factoring companies as well. So that's the process, high level. As you go through booking loads, you'll understand the intricacies of each phase of that process as you go along. And then as you book more and more loads, you'll pick up on techniques of how to do it more effectively and efficiently and quicker. Like, for example, there is a time gap, it would seem, between getting a carrier approved and letting the shipper know that you have a carrier for a load and whether that load is still available. Because remember, shippers send their load list to more than one broker. You are not the only broker or brokerage that the shipper sends it to. So you are in competition with other brokers for finding trucks and getting that load. So this is module 3 again, booking the load. I hope the information was informative for you guys. I look forward to you guys deciding if you want to join Freight Broker One-on-One training for beginners. It gives you the basic information that you need, and you take this information, establish a foundation for yourself, and grow from there. For those who are interested in joining the Freight Broker One-on-One training for beginners platform, you can go to the website www.exodusdispatchingandtraining.com. That's all one word. That's www.exodusdispatchingandtraining.com. Click on the Freight Broker Training 101 for beginners link, and then click to enroll into the Freight Broker 101 training for beginners platform. Until next time, you guys have a great day. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.